Hi there, I'm Mr. Dulus, and I'm going to be guiding you through the second grade basic computer skills checklist. So after completing each thing, we're going to check or color in each smiley after finishing each task. So for example, check to see if the power button light is on your computer, and that should look something like this. Excuse me. And if it's not lit up, or it doesn't have a light right next to it, then we're going to press that button to turn the computer on. If that light is on, but the screen is black, we're going to wake up the computer by hitting any key or clicking your mouse button once. And if I show you what that looks like, we can either click either one of these buttons, or in fact, in most cases, just simply moving the mouse back and forth often will wake up the computer. Sometimes I'll even hit the space bar here to wake up the computer. So now that we've woken up the computer, we're going to log on. And as we've done each of these things, we can check them off or just color it in. And so I've done those things. Okay, so if I've logged on, and of course I've logged on to be on my computer here, and then I'm going to open up Microsoft Word. And if you've noticed, I've already opened up Microsoft Word, but I'll make sure I show you how to do that. And then just to give you a heads up, the next thing we're going to be doing is opening a file that's named second grade computer file. And that's a file that you should have on your computer or have access to, and your teacher can give you better instructions on how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close down my Microsoft Word, and I'm going to just reopen it just to show you. In fact, I suppose I don't really need to close it down, because what I can do is straight from here, just from having it open, actually I will close it down. Let me close it. And so I'm going to open up Microsoft Word. It's here on the desktop, or if it's not there, you might be able to find it here under the Start menu on the lower left-hand corner. There I have Microsoft Word right there. And if it's not there, I would have to click All Programs and then look somewhere within this list. So I'd have to scroll down to look through the list. Sometimes it's under Microsoft Office. So if I click that, I would have to find it there. But usually it's pretty easy to find, and so I'll double click here, or if I open up this way, I would just need to single click. So now that I have Microsoft Word open, I'm now going to go to my Microsoft Office, sort of like a little start menu up here. It takes the place of the old File button that used to be on the older versions. And if I click that, I have these options of New, Open, Save, and Save As. We're going to be using Save and Save As, but for now, in fact, we're really just going to be for now we're just going to be using Open. If I click Open, I have all these options as to what it is that I'm looking for. So I'm going to navigate, and again, your teacher will tell you where to go to for that. And you will find the file named second grade computer file. So we will open up that file. In fact, I think I'm going to go to it because I have it in my recent opened documents, so I'm going to click it here. And it should look just like this. Now that we've opened it, we're going to click File, or again, the Microsoft Office button. And we're going to choose Save As. And so now that I've chosen Save As, I'm going to now just change the name of this file. So if I click on the file with the mouse, I'm going to use the left click, and remember, this is my left click button here, and I'm going to usually be using that button. If I want more options, I can often use the right click button. That will then give me more options than the left click button. But left click is what I use to select things. So I'm going to change the file. I'm going to click right there just at the very end of the word file. I'm going to put a space, and then I'm going to put The name, in this case it would be my name, but you're going to put your name. You're going to have second grade computer file, and then your full name, your first and last name. I'm going to pretend like my name is Bob Smith today. It sounds like a good name. And so I put in Bob Smith. And then once I've done that, I want to make sure that I want to save it in the right spot. So if your teacher wants you to, you should save this in a different location. And let's see, I think for me, I'm going to save it to my desktop today. And I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Once I've chosen where to save it and I've changed the name, so that way my name is at the end of the file name, I'm going to click Save. And so now, from here on out, if I hit the Save button, it's just going to save any additional changes that I've made to that same file. Okay, so if you see what it says here, it says delete this and type your name. And in the instructions, it says type your full name in the place provided. Use the Shift button to capitalize the first letter of your name, of your first name and last name. So for example, for me, it'll be Bob Smith. And so I can click and drag. So if I use the left mouse button and I click and drag, that'll allow me to highlight this whole thing. Or sometimes what I can do is I can double click, and if I double click, it'll just highlight that one word. Or if I triple click, it'll highlight the entire line. And now that I've got the entire line highlighted, anything that I type will replace whatever's highlighted. So for me, I want to type in Bob Smith. So I'm going to use the Shift button and the B, and you notice that it deleted everything that was there. And now I'm going to continue to type that name. All right. And if you make a mistake that you didn't want to do, what you could do is you could undo something by hitting the Control and Z button together, and that is right here, the Control button and the Z button, and that will undo any mistake that you just made. So if we go back, just for example, if I hit Control and Z, see, that just completely undoes any mistake I might have made, but I didn't make a mistake, so I'm just going to retype in what I had, and there we go. There's Bob Smith. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to change how my name looks. So I'm going to triple click again, or I can just left click and highlight, just like that. And I want to change how this looks. I want to change this to a different font. If you notice, the font's up here. So the font that I want to change it to is Broadway. And I want to change the size as well. So I want to change the size from 11 to 16-point font. So that way it's nice and big. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Caps Lock button. That Caps Lock button is right here. It either says Caps or Caps Lock. Either way, it's the same button. And let me go back here. So now that I've hit Caps Lock, if you notice, often some little sign will come up that says that, hey, I've hit the Caps Lock button. That warns me and lets me know. So now that I'm going to be typing in all uppercase letters, all big letters, and in the space above the name, up here, we have all uppercase, and we also want to change the color. So I want to choose this up here, and we're going to change the color to either purple or blue or pink or some other color. But I want it to be purple. So I've chosen purple. And along with purple, I also want to make this bold. And I want to make it underlined as well. That way it really stands out. And then one more thing I want to do is I want to make it center aligned. So if you look here, I have my alignment buttons. This is left align. That's how it is normally. And I'm going to change it to the center align button. So that way it puts it in the center of the page. Because this is going to be my title. And the title is going to be Second Grade Computer File. There we go. We can hit the caps lock button again to now deselect caps, and now everything we type will be in lowercase. Click below your name, and not really sure why that looks... Oh. And now that I've selected below my name, I'm going to hit the Tab button. There we go, and that's going to tab us over, so that way we have the proper spacing to start a paragraph. I'm going to use proper grammar to copy and complete this sentence. Blank is my favorite subject. Well, science is my favorite subject. And just to do it on purpose, what if I misspell something? I accidentally put in a couple extra letters there. Of course, I have my proper grammar, so I have my period there, but I still misspelled it. I can go back in here and right-click. So remember that right-click is going to be this button here. Click that button once. While hovering over this red line area, right-click, and you see it gives me some suggestions. Well, actually, it says ignore, because I spelled it so badly it doesn't even know what to do with me. Here, let me see if I can take away a couple of letters. There we go, that should be better. And so now, let's try that again. Now it's closer to the right spelling. Now it knows what I want to say, and I click subject, because that's what I meant to say. And I can move over a couple spots so that way I've got my new sentence, and I should have one space between the period and the next sentence. So if you misspell anything, you can go back and correct the spelling, but a good trick is to go back and right-click on it so that way you can get a couple of suggestions to see what you're trying to say. And so make a couple more sentences talking about that subject. So for me, I'm going to write I like it when Mr. D does experiments. I learned that giraffes have very high blood pressure because they are so tall. And that's really true. They're so tall, they have lots and lots of pressure in their blood. So let me focus on what you have to do to make capital letters at the beginning of each sentence. So to make this I a capital, and in order to make this the S a capital, and the first letters in your names as well. To capitalize just the first letter, we're going to use the Shift button, the exclamation point that you're going to be using at the end of the first sentence. And then to capitalize, you're going to hit Shift, and then let's say, for example, to make a capital S versus a small s, when you want to make a capital S, you're going to hit Shift and the S button. That'll make it a big S. All right. So now that we've done that, we can go ahead and hit the Save button again. Save now, save often. That's what my teachers used to always tell me. Now we're going to open up the web browser, and we're going to do a quick little Google search for an image. So I often use Google Chrome, but in this case, how about if I use, let's see. I want to use Windows Explorer. So I have to look for Windows Explorer. I don't usually use that, but a good way for me to find it is, I know it's right here. So here's Firefox. That's a different web browser that you could use. I'm going to use Internet Explorer, so I'm going to double click on that there. And I'm going to type in google.com. There we go. And if you notice, here's Google's little image, and they got something new every day. If you hover over it, it tells you what it was. Dorothy Irene's Heights, 102nd birthday. All right. So in here, I'm going to type computer clip art. Hit enter. And I also specifically want to be looking for images here, so I'm going to click images. And now I can scroll through some of the images. I'm not sure why many of my images are X'd out. That's quite unusual, but looks like I have some extra security stuff going on at my computer today. But I want to pick one of these clip art pictures, so I'm going to click on it. And now I'm going to right-click on this image. I'm going to use that right-click button of the mouse. So that would be the right one right there. I get to use my little image. So I right-click on it, and it brings me to these options, and I'm going to copy the image. Now I go back to my Microsoft Word document. I would like to enter down and right-click again and paste. Sometimes that doesn't work right like it did just for me just now. And of course I can hit Control-Z whenever I don't like whatever happened. Let me see if I can go back and fix that. Alright, so if I right-click here underneath my text and paste, I should be able to paste in my object. And now if I select it, I can make it smaller or bigger by clicking on the lower right-hand corner of this thing. Alright, if that doesn't work for some reason, sometimes what you might have to do is, if I go back to my browser, sometimes what I might have to do is right-click on it and save picture as. And then I can just save that picture maybe temporarily to the desktop. Just make sure you delete it. And might as well just name it as a computer. Save it there. And then if I go to my desktop, I've got this computer image here. And I can typically copy it from there. Alright. There, see? It works even if I do it that way. So that's kind of a guaranteed way that it'll work, just in case it didn't let you copy and paste it the first time. Alright, now that we've got that done, oh, something doesn't look right. For some reason my computer is all the way down there. Let's tap here, and then I'm going to hit the delete button. Oh, there we go, that looks better. So you might have to delete some of the space in case something got messed up there. And so now I think that we should be just about done with our computer file. So your file should look pretty much just like this, except with your name on it. Maybe your sentences should be a little bit different. And now we're going to email this as an attachment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our web browser. And we're going to put in gmail.com in the address bar. Hit enter, and you will get to your email. Sign in. I'm going to sign in into my account here. And you will have to put in your new username and password. I've already done that for myself, so it automatically logs me in. But you have to put in your username and password for your Gmail account. Once you've done that, click the Compose button to make an email. So we're going to click Compose, and if you notice, this message box comes up, and we're going to address this to your teacher. And your teacher will let you know exactly what email to put in. In my case, I'm going to pretend that Mrs. Baxter is my teacher, so I'm going to put in her email address. I have to put in the @ symbol, and to do that, remember, the @ symbol is going to be the Shift key and the number 2, because that right there is the @ symbol. The @ symbol looks just like this. It's like an A with a circle around it. So now that I've done that, I'm gotta finish her email. You gotta spell it exactly right or it won't work at all. So I've got her name at championlocal.org. I hit tab and you notice it makes this little box here. And then hit tab again and it puts me into the subject line box. And what I'm going to type in there is going to be second grade computer file. So that way she knows exactly what it is that I'm sending her. Hit tab again and that's going to put me into the body of the email. In the body of the email I'm going to put my teacher's name. So in this case I'm going to put Mrs. Baxter, a comma, and say, here is my computer file attached, period. And I always like to put it on the next line, thank you, comma, and then on the next line I put my name, and in this case I'm Bob Smith today. Now that I've written my email, now I have to actually attach the file. You certainly don't want to write an email that says that you've attached something and then not attach it. That's just embarrassing. So I'm going to hit the little paperclip button here, and now I have to choose where I'm going to get that file from. If you noticed, it brought up something about Google Drive, and I don't want to deal with Google Drive, so I just hit deal with it later. Tell me later kind of a thing. And so now, let's see here. I want to choose the file that I have been making. So that's going to be the second grade computer file here. It brings up typically the most recent things that I've been making. If you notice, it says second grade computer file Bob Smith right here. So now that I've got that selected, I hit open. I can confirm that it's the right file by reading this here. It tells me what the file name is, second grade computer file Bob Smith. Well, that's the right one that I want to send to her. And so now that I've done that, I can go ahead and click send. And I don't really want to do that today because, well, Miss Baxter isn't really going to grade my work, so I'll just pretend that I actually hit the send button. And so now that you've done that, you're done. Good job. And hopefully you've checked everything off as you're going through. And you learned how to use the shift button in order to capitalize letters. You've learned how to use the shift button to also make an exclamation point, and you've also learned how to use left and right click. Okay. Well, with that, remember that it should look like this, and hopefully you guys did well. Have a good one. Take care.